Okay, without further ado, I'll introduce Luiz. So be thinking up your questions.
Right, good morning. Can everyone hear me well? Okay. And I hope that the presentation is being shared with the Zoom folks. Okay, so again, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to share a couple of insights about curiosity and my experiences about it. Okay, so to start out, I'm going to ask a question, and if you do know the answer for this question, keep it to yourself. Okay, where in the world there are trees that are squared? You know, where in the world there might be a tree like that? And just think about it, but there's only one rule, okay? No Googling, okay? So no Googling at all, okay? So you gotta interface with others, and but not the computer, okay? And just in case, okay, no Googling, just in case you forgot, okay? And why that? We need the human connections. We need to go back to basics in terms of reaching out to someone you know or you don't know, that you say, okay, that particular individual has some knowledge about this topic. I should really reach out and chat with them. Maybe it's an old friend. Maybe it's a friend of a friend that you want to connect. But just ask the questions and say, okay, how can I really connect? How can I learn more? And via the human interaction, which is such a critical part of life and part of longevity as well, to having long-lasting relationships that you can count on, that you can depend on, that you can hold on to, okay? So very important. And again, no Googling on this topic, okay? So my inspiration is, I feel that I'm exactly what the quote says, you know, I have no special talents, but I'm only passionately curious. I ask a lot of questions, but I ask for learning, to really bridge my curiosity gaps, to really broaden my interest and keep the brain exercising. I think that's one of the things. How many people here exercise this morning? Okay, a handful. Okay, very good. I haven't done that yet, so I need to do it later. My shoes are here, so I'll be able to do it. So the brain is no different. You have to continuously exercise the brain to really ensure that you have that cognitive, that passion, and that longevity of mind. Very important, okay? About my extensive research on the topic, I've been practicing curiosity for about 45 years, give it or take a couple of years, okay? And I really, as I would like to thank for my subjects, you know, for their dedication and also their endurance throughout this process. My research has, my personal research has really taken root about, I think 22, 23 years ago. And I continue to live this research of asking 5 questions a day. And I tell you a little bit about my subjects, okay? These are my 3 beautiful children, okay? You have Victoria, Philip, in the little guy, and Alex. And so they've been my subjects throughout my lifetime here. And the one thing I was very consistent with them is every time we interact after school, said, did you ask 5 questions today? Did you ask the teacher 5 questions? Did you ask the staff some questions? Did you ask your friends some questions? And, you know, it really works until they're about 10, 12, and then the roll of the eye comes into play. And that's when I realized that my brain went on retirement when my kids are teenagers, or they cross into that middle school age. But again, it did not, my endurance, my persistence was there, and I continue to ask the questions. So great people, I'm proud of them because I have created curious people as well, and they're a beautiful part of my life. And my sister is here with the kids. They're on the left, upper left. Okay, questions now. I want to engage all of you. Anyone at random? I'm not going to call. LA to New York City. How would you get there? Okay, assume that that's not available. How would you get there? Plane, okay. Assume there are no planes today. How would you get there? Train, okay. Derailment, no trains today. How'd you get there? Hot air balloon, they shut it down. Could be a Chinese balloon, you know, never know. No hot air balloon. What else? Walk, okay. Can do it. You know, you broke your foot. Lisa. Bike, flat tire, no spare. Anyone? Anyone? Call. Well, beat me up, Scotty would be one, but calling, yeah, okay. But what else? Video chat, well, it doesn't get you there, right? But again, Skype. Rocket, okay. So here's the point. It's about asking questions. It is about becoming resourceful. It's about becoming resilient. That's curiosity in action. And I think that we tend to give up too easy. You know, we say, okay, we try once, we try twice. I tried everything. This has been like, you know, the weight loss question, right? I tried everything. Well, if you tried everything, show me the results, right? So it means you did not try everything. You have not explored the options, the alternatives. So you really have to remain curious, and not curious in the sense of just for the sake of asking questions, but to be genuine, to be true, to really having this thirst for learning, this thirst for really embracing what you don't know, and being humble enough to really understand that you say, okay, it takes a big person to say that they don't know something. And it takes a small person to just go on life, assuming that, okay, if I don't say anything, I just nod, they think I know everything. So the curiosity question is that how do you enrich your life? And how can you really become more resourceful and more resilient overall? And I'll have another question, okay? If you know these people, don't say anything just yet, okay? But, and the numbers have a meaning as well, okay? But these are people that have really endured adversity. They have been really ordinary people like you and I, but they have achieved greatness in terms of curiosity. And it is an important story to tell. The gentleman on the left, he has tried, and the biographies are very sketchy. So some say 20, some say 43, before he really was able to strike it. In terms, it's not as Thomas Edison was to have so many attempts to success, but he really took that much. And the couple on the right, they had met in 1935, and it's a love story, and a love story that you really enjoy, and we all enjoy somewhat. And so to kind of break the ice, and you know, these are the people here, Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, you know, and the Seuss name, where does it come from? Okay, actually, it is his mother's maiden name, Seuss. So he embraced that as he launched the books and everything, and really instigate a lot of curiosity, a lot of passion. And, you know, as we live in this culture today that eliminates what sometimes is good and best, you know, some of his books are not allowed to be printed. They decide not to print anymore because it was hurting people's feelings. But no one cares about the obscenities and the foul language of some music that plays on the radio every day. And it's perfectly fine, right? So it hurts my feelings. I want the music going as well. But again, it's different story, different time. So he himself had 20 to 43 attempts to have his creation published. And it was trial after trial. And he lived a very simple life up in Massachusetts. He had, you know, incremental successes. He was not a big blockbuster in terms of his publications, his writing. But when that stuck, they really created a whole new level of innovation, a whole new level by asking the right questions, by having that resilience, and by not giving up and being say, if this doesn't work, how can I? How could I? How should I? Point me in the right direction, asking different people for different outcomes. And Hans Reyersbach and Margaret, she was born in Wallenstein. They're the creators of Curious George. Very interesting people. 1935, they met in Brazil. Margareta, she went to, they're both from Germany, but Hans was living in Brazil already, and then she came to Brazil because of the Nazi party was expanding aggressively. And so they fell in love, and Hans has been always an illustrator, and Margaret has been a creative storyteller. So they came together and created Curious George. And at that time, they were living in Paris, France. And in 1940, when at the brink of the Nazi invading Paris, they left. And their story is so beautiful because they, Hans put together a couple bicycles, literally, you see the photo there, they told their story actually in the books as well. And they biked from France, from Paris, all the way to Spain. And as they crossed into Spain, they were able to get to the Brazilian consulate and get issued visas and papers. And then they made all the way to Portugal, where they left for Brazil in 1940. And throughout this entire journey, they were carrying their manuscripts because they had already created the character Curious George. And amazing story, beautiful people. And again, Dr. Seuss, and as any good immigrant to the United States, we lose a lot of things. Okay, we lose our names. Okay, and they became Hans and Margaret Rye instead of Reyersbach. Okay, so but again, I think that this kind of tell us a little bit about the direction of curiosity, direction of creation and innovation. And since we're talking about storytelling in kids, let's talk about children. Why are they curious? Okay, kids ask on average, between 75 and 100 questions a day, and and really they're trying to build up their knowledge base. They're trying to mimic adults that can talk eloquently about the topic, and so they're really trying to build their construct to be able to engage with people. So their form of engagement is saying, why this? What is that? How to? And these are not yes or no questions. These are really smart questions. They're open-ended questions that require attention. And this is a beautiful opportunity for people to engage with them, and opens a whole horizon to create a solid relationship with the youngest people that you come across that are able to articulate and talk and learn. So they have a huge learning capacity. And the beauty of it is that you're building an eternal bond with the children. As a parent, as an uncle, as a stranger, as you engage with children, you have a massive opportunity to influence their lives, not only on a short term, but for prosperity, so that they know that they're taken serious. And you're explaining, you're taking your time to share, okay? And they will take it in. And why is curiosity so important? Curiosity builds great listeners, okay? If you're a curious person, you're a great listener, because you're engaging not just for, talking shop or kind of small chat. You're really engaging because you want to learn. And that's where your attention is fully focused. And then what happens? What happened? They become teenagers. They're 12, 13, 14, 18, 16, 17. And part of it, there are many root causes for it, but I'm going to just list a couple of them, okay? One of them, unfortunately, is our educational system that really kind of kills curiosity. Rather than really instilling curiosity to really developing true learning, what the children are associating with success is regurgitating data, okay? here's the information. And if you know this information, you put it on the test and you're rewarded for just kind of copying or literally just kind of, being able to say, okay, this, but where's the context? Where's the content of the knowledge? It is lost. In addition to that, this is a real difficult time for kids. Being a teenager, different peer groups, different pressures that are coming upon them, that they want to look smart. They want to, be in the in crowd, so they stop asking questions. And when you're trying to engage with them, even as a parent, an uncle, as a friend, as an adult with an age gap, there is some resistance to admit the lack of knowledge. There's a resistance to say, because they equate knowing and being able to deliver information as a part of success. And not having that edge really leads to little by little dwindling number of questions that they ask. And how can we change this dynamic? A key factor here would really be to making them curious, engage them from a different level, so that when you associate topics that you leave your breadcrumbs, that they follow and they have developed some level of interest on the subject matter, they become curious. So there's different techniques for learning and creating an environment where you're able to really harness this curiosity energy back into their lives and into our lives, because it really is a great reason for joy to be curious. And then, why keep curiosity alive in our daily lives? Okay. And these are quotes from studies. I have both of the studies in the back of the presentation. Curiosity and interest can serve as power motivating factors in cognition and behavior as we age. So don't stop. Don't stop. Remain curious. I was sitting at the table, and I think Terry mentioned, okay, he's been twice retired. I love to hear that, because we never retired. We have different interests, and we continue to engage. And if you do not have an interest, find one. Engage with people. Join a table. Join the BLF. Make sure you sign up for the business expo, because you don't want to see him angry. I also, curiosity and surprise really enhance memory via activity. And I think that some of the neurons start firing back, and basically you're able to grow your brain back, your memory back, as you exercise the curiosity muscle. So it's something that keeps you alive, keeps your longevity. And I think that the body is one thing, and we try to pay so much attention to it, exercise, eat right, and everything else. The brain is part of the body, so you have to exercise the brain. You have to keep that all running, so that all of these areas from the hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, and dopaminergic areas are engaging in your brain and sustaining that memory, sustaining that activity as you age. A lot of studies there, okay, in this topic, and it is something that's still at early stages, believe it or not, talking about curiosity, talking about motivation. So it's a huge field of research. The universities here in Philly, the universities in Boston, in UK, all over the world are studying curiosity. And I think this quote here for me is very timely as well as we engage, okay? Of all things I have lost, okay, I miss my mind most. And I think that that's one thing that, I have dear friends that have dementia or have Alzheimer's right now. They're beautiful people. They just don't know me anymore, and you see the people, but they're not the people you met. They're not the people you know. So take the time, make a commitment to yourself, nobody else, to really get curious and really engage with the different people. Again, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. And I think that is the secret, to really kind of drive curiosity, and so that you catch people's attention. And do you want to be, you know, a welcome guest in any party? Ask questions. You're going to make the best friends. And to quote an author of, you know, Change Your Questions, Change Your Life, you know, a question not asked is a door not open. Okay, so this is the opportunity for you to open many, many doors along the way. And also to captivate relationships and continue on that. And why is curiosity important? Okay, you have two mindsets, two categories of mindsets. The one which is the closed mindset, you know, and you can see some of the big things. I think judgmental is one of the big things. Okay, a lot of assumptions that you do not leave room for anything. You know it all, even though you don't ask anything. So you really fail to really embrace knowledge in many ways. So I think that, you know, and feedback is not for the greater good. Feedback is a major attack. So you're totally defensive when it comes to it. And curious mindset is the total opposite. And I think that this is where we really have a huge opportunity to become more self-aware, listen for knowledge, listen for understanding. And I think many of you in this room have had and still have very successful careers. So curiosity is one of the major key ingredients as we move into leadership roles, as we move into corporates, we move within, you know, organizations that will really give a whole myriad of opportunities, because you become more resourceful, you become more open, and as a result, you become more successful. And I think this is one of the key things. And I like, you know, I found this, and I think it's very timely. We have a big bridge there, you know, Walt Whitman Bridge. And one of his quotes is, be curious, not judgmental. So ask with curiosity, ask to learn, ask to listen, ask to really engage. And curiosity is one of the most powerful instruments you can have for you to do conflict resolution, because you're not assuming, you're just asking, you're interviewing, you're asking questions. And that's a key skill to become an advisor, key skill to become a board member, key skill to become a successful CEO, or key skill to become a successful friend, to be curious and not close-minded. So, you know, how does it relate to business overall? I had the privilege to set up 3 different, you know, facilities for my teams over my career. And every time I push the envelope in really creating an environment and a culture of continuous improvement. From, you know, your cubicles, which were this high, to cubicles that were this low, to open office plan, to unassigned desks, and so many other things, and focusing on the people and the engagement and how we can really harness that energy of people and the sharing. So, you know, be curious, learn, listen, learn, share. Ask, listen, share. So this is the pattern that we really want to instill, is to keep asking questions. And the number 5, why 5 questions? Why is it important? Well, I like the number 5. That's basically it. I like the number 5. So I started asking the kids, and it stuck with me. So, but again, Forbes related, you know, some of these metrics here in terms of curiosity in business. For leadership, curiosity is one of the major key attributes for a good leader. Engagement, employee engagement is stronger as you have more curious employees. So creating an environment where this is possible is really fantastic. Creating this learning environment where success is great, but learning is greater. So it's not a culture of carrot and many sticks that we experience in corporate. Is really that, you know, failure is a massive opportunity to learn. You know, sometimes very costly, but it is the fastest way to learn and say, okay, we know what not to do next time. And but if you really use a bigger stick, everyone tries to steer away from it, not look at it, not learn anything from it. So this is a major attribute. Innovation, the key to innovation, and we have, you know, I mentioned Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Madame Curie, and many, many others out there. And our, people of today, Elon Musk, for example, I think he's a very curious person. He's a guy who had nothing about, rockets, and he has one of the, most advanced facilities for rocket launch, SpaceX. And, no one said, okay, you cannot make cars because you don't have batteries. Okay, look at Tesla, market leader today, and many others. And I'm not saying, okay, that he's the perfect man, the Superman, whatever. I'm just saying he's curious. And so leave all your politics aside and everything else. But again, achievement, results, and growth, business and personal growth comes out of curiosity. So a lot of things, some of my work is done in this area here, specifically in terms of innovation, ideation, and design thinking. That really is one of the things that propel companies into their growth areas, their new ways of doing business, and really harnessing energy and growth. What questions to ask? That's what everybody is after, right? I answered the question with a question almost, okay? What's the most important thing here is to be genuine. When you're asking a question in the framework of curiosity, you're asking because you want to learn. You're asking because you want to listen. You're asking because you have a commitment to that engagement, that personal touch between you and another human being. And I think that, technology is fantastic. And I love the fact that Google can kind of, tell us just about everything, and 98% of the time is right. The other 2% is misinformation, but it's okay. Not a bad, batting average, I guess. But we're missing that opportunity to reach out for him and engage and continue and perpetuate relationships, The book Ikigai, which is a study of centennials that live in Okinawa Island, one of the keys to longevity is to have relationships, these deep friendships, and really kind of continue that throughout your lifetime, and re-engage with people that maybe you haven't seen. So take an opportunity to call your friend that you haven't talked to in a month or 2 months or a year or 5 years, to say, hey, I'm just calling to say, how are you doing? And tell you what's going on here. And by the way, what are you up to? And, oh, you're doing this, and this. This is amazing. I know other people that I could connect you with to be able to really excel your business. And but another secret here, beyond being authentic and genuine, as you ask the questions, be sure that you also ask open questions, so that the conversation doesn't yes, no, maybe, okay. So that's the other aspect of these questions. And I have another question. A lot of people struggle with my company name. Okay, the Vivian, Divan, Vivan, Divin. Okay, what's in the name? Vivan means full of life. Okay, live, alive. And that's the essence of it. And I'd like for you to meet some very interesting people. I mentioned to you the Reyesbach, the authors of Curious George, that they lost something along the way as they kind of, immigrated to America and everything else and shortened their name. And this is the case of many, many immigrants to the US and along their journey. But, this is not something unique to the US, like immigration officers, if they say, okay, all right, Smith, okay, that's it, or Reyesbach, okay, Rye, okay. And that's her name moving forward, okay? And this is my family circa 1920, okay? My great-grandfather, Nicholas Vivan, and my grandfather, which is directly with the light suit, is Nicolau Vivan, and that got lost in translation. Yeah, so Nicholas is the last member of my family that has the Vivan last name. So, and I'm Vieira. I don't know why. I know why. I know. But anyway, so get curious. Okay. My advice to you, and I ask for your commitment, to give yourself permission to ask more questions. More regularly, and try to get answers wrong as well, but try, engage, okay? It's okay to fail, okay? And to learn. If you don't, you'll be stuck. And who really wants to be stuck in life? I want progress. I want to move forward. So my ask to this group is to give yourself permission to ask questions and grow your curiosity, exercise the curiosity muscle in your life and beyond, and instill this as a value for your families, for your grandchildren, grandparents, parents, uncles, friends, neighbors. We all are contributors to the new generation. And let's not allow social media and AI and many other tools deprive us from being humans. Let's leverage technology, but let's restore that human contact, that brainstorming, that ideation that we require to really grow as individuals, intellectually, but as better humans in life. So, and this is my ask to you. So, are you still curious about the square trees? Yes? Okay. So this is also another part of the curiosity question, right? It is rewarding. To satiate curiosity is really a secret to a happy life. And how many of you knew the answer to this question? Anybody? You knew? Okay, so give me some. Yeah, all right. Okay. 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 All right. That's curiosity. Yeah. Wait, I think I'm gonna get kicked out of here very shortly, so I don't want to. But there is actually a place in the world where there's actual square trees. It's El Valle de Anton in Panama. And these trees are square, and they're naturally grow like that. The forest in this area is it's behind a hotel in this area in Panama. And literally, these things, the trunks are square. And it's pretty interesting. And, I don't know how and why, but that's how they grow. And as you see from the root, and then it's about, 2 feet up, 1.5 feet, they start getting, and they grow up. Beautiful thing. So very interesting stuff. And I stole this question from Matthias Gruber, which is one of the leading researchers in the topic curiosity, and has done a lot of work in this area. Very, very interesting folks doing beautiful work there. So, and thank you. Okay. Satisfaction of one's curiosity is one of the greatest sources of happiness in life. Linus Pauling, so another scientist. So, and again, thank you very much. I do not know the answer to that, but I'm going to call someone on there and ask.
Is there one book that you would recommend that a lot of people read philosophical sense of curiosity? Is there one group or book that you recommend for someone to do something?
I think a lot of the books that I would recommend are, some of them are biographies. Okay, what is Einstein's biography? Benjamin Franklin is fantastic biography to read. And then there's areas of interest or areas of curiosity that you may have. It's like I always had an interest for technology, so I pick up technology books that I know nothing about, and I learn a little bit of it. Another way to to really inspire curiosity, learn an instrument that you have or develop a curiosity for. I would like to play the ukulele, so it's one of the things on my list to do. Learn a hobby, learn about gardening. I was talking to Karen over the weekend, it's like this Japanese technique of flower arranging, that she saw at the flower show. So do something out of the ordinary. something that really kind of puts you out of your comfort zone. I think that's the secret here for curiosity. There's no one size fits all, because you have to be inspired. You have to trigger your curiosity bone and your brain cells to do it. So, yes.
Yeah, hi, great insight. I always call semantics, where you start the conversation, and in order to get to the true answer, you need to go down about 3 levels. Do you agree with it? Thoughts on it?
It depends what you're trying to achieve, right? I think that if you're trying to interrogate someone to really get down to it in a business situation, negotiation, maybe that's a technique. But it's about the flow, right? And the more resistance you encounter, sometimes the more questions you may have to ask, which might make some people feel uncomfortable. But really, you want to meet people on the level and be able to engage them in a friendly atmosphere, so that they feel that they're giving a contribution to you. And this is where really it happens. If you have a very solid exchange, and you have a volley of conversation, and you're not kind of, not trying to do one up on someone. You're just you're genuine about what you're asking, and you're really learning about it. So, okay. I don't know if there's any questions online, so there's one on the chat right here. Good morning. Looks like we're it for the virtual crew. Okay, all right. Okay. I was curious about the chat.
That's something that often sells. We put it in the 35 years, 1 week and 6 days. Is it okay to ask this question? Is it okay to ask? In another 35 years, 1 week and 6 days, and have never said no, it's not okay. But something's okay to ask. If you're not sure if it's okay to ask, I say, the ask the prospect, is it okay to?
Yep.
If they say no, I mean, they. Why would they even ask?
That's a wrap, or? Okay.
Well, no, so thank you for your talk on curiosity. I have gotten more experience than the result. A comment about asking questions. It's often the way that we ask questions. So it's one thing to ask a question, but depending on how we ask it, our tone of voice, it may elicit different responses.
Yeah.
So if people do feel that they're being interrogated, it flows up.
Yeah.
But if we are truly listening to learn, to reveal something on, they will get that. They will get the intent
Yep.
of our question asked. So maybe we'll add another slide about the way
There you go.
that we ask.
It is total communication, right? And the written word is not all of it, right? So it's definitely.
So thank you for giving us the gift today of your curiosity.
Thank you. Okay, Ernie, you have a question? Okay, all right.
Besides what you mentioned in one of the last slides about give yourself permission and ask the question, and you know how often, I know it's the thing is younger staff, but we also, if it's on younger staff in business, it's okay for you to need the question.
Mhm.
For you to ask, one of your mentors or somebody overseeing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And maybe I think you can understand. Question you don't ask is
The question you don't ask, you already, have no change in answers. So.
You have a question, Paul.
Yeah. So, but think about something you can do to, get your curiosity juices flowing again. All right. Thank you very much for your attention.
Everybody, thanks. Have a great day. See you next week. Don't forget to register for the expo.